Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Did you know that we are bringing you home for the holidays here at Café Anyway?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I apologize. I'm using a different microphone today, and I'm getting a little bit crazy here at this part of Café Anyway. My name's not Daisy, it's Mike Matthews. That's the name, Mike's Daily Podcast, and I'm broadcasting to you somewhere in the vast land of Podcastro Valleymont. How we doing?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Do you ever pay for that Ad Block Plus? They give it to you for free, and hey, you're on the honor system.
Mike's
as if to
Daily
guilt you
Podcast
into giving them money. Give them a little something, Mike. Darn. Well, this is episode 2007-01, and we're not afraid to use the darn word, durning my socks, and all of that. And we're at Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valleymont. Oh boy. Sam Bankman-Fried found guilty of fraud, the founder of FTX, and the man with the craziest hair. I yearn to have hair like his. So beautiful, so full, so odd, so vast. So that's all I got with that. But that's just happening. I don't know when you're listening to this. It could be on November 3rd or November 2nd. If you are listening to this November 2nd, well, we just happen to be enjoying All Souls Day is today, and National Deviled Egg Day. Wow. It's National Men Make Dinner Day. I make dinner all the time. What are you talking about? Actually, my lovely lady friend said she's going to make dinner today, so I guess we're not really following that day. And it's World Jellyfish Day if you're listening to this on the 3rd.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The podcast picture, I'm going to do something nautical. I'm going to be nautical. Mike puts the naughty in nautical. There, that's what I meant to say. Just kidding. And you know, that's pretty good because of the Sandwich Islands that Captain Cook found, didn't he? Was it Drake, Sir Francis Drake? Somebody found discovered the sandwich that was on a boat. So it's National Sandwich Day if you're listening to this on the 3rd. And if you're out there in the ocean, there's jellyfish, of course. So I'll have something to do with the bay, because I'm going to be on the bay. That's right, the late great Basil the Boxer, he used to run around the bay often. That's some audio of him barking at bats. Because that was the cool thing to do. That's right, Basil. Oh, I miss him so much. I wish Rocky could bark. But instead, Rocky does these cool things. So we've had Rocky for about a year. And he does these things like... kind of like a purr meow. I guess they call it a chirp. Oh, it's awesome. But I miss Basil every day. Just the best dog. And it's going to be very difficult for me to someday get a dog again. Now, my neighbors down the street who I saw on Halloween, and apologies to you. All apologies. What more can I say? I got involved with a Halloween day.
It's Bison Bentley's. Do you know that?
Hey, this is Bison Bentley, and Mike Matthews has a couple of stories that'll make you want to ask yourself, do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know that? I couldn't even get into my driveway. There was a car, somebody in an obnoxious Mercedes basically blocked my entire driveway. I just squeezed through there to get into my garage. It has gotten so popular and I remember when I moved in about 14 years ago, it was nobody around. Nobody knocked on the door, but now it is packed. There's a very popular street nearby, so lots of people are there checking out all the cool front yard displays and getting candy, because they love candy. Dun, 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 dun. Bo Diddley Beat. Thank you, Bo Diddley, for your beat.
Note to self.
And we were discussing things like not necessarily jellyfish or sandwiches or going out on the ocean, but we were just getting to know each other again. It'd been a long time. Some neighbors, their daughters have moved out and then they moved back in, and they're doing all kinds of cool stuff and getting married and moving off to other states or becoming PhDs and whatnot. I'm just like so proud of everybody on my street, basically. I'm very blessed to have cool neighbors.
Now that's legit.
And one of these days it's going to be Neighbors Day, and we're going to enjoy that. That sounds familiar. We may have already done that. So it's also National Housewives Day, which is interesting because that's on the 3rd. On the 2nd was the men cooking dinner day.
I can't believe. What the hell is this place anyway?
Oh. And it's Pet Cancer Awareness Day. Or this is actually Pet Cancer Awareness Month. And I know it's a sad topic. It affects a lot of pet owners.
Mike Matthews? You not know Mike Matthews.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Eminem. Eminem.
We got Eminem.
We got Eminem. The real Eminem.
There you go.
Thanksgiving is this month. My birthday is this month.
You ready?
And I was just so busy with the Halloween stuff, so I did not get to a podcast. Is that what we call this? Yes, a podcast. So can I just tell you?
The wow, that's wild.
And I say with a defiance because I know that's not the best speaking, is to avoid ums when you talk, but I just got to say
That's enough. Put down the mic.
And say that if you are tasked with doing the schedule for your work and you ignore when people ask you, say, hey, I can't make it this day, when they tell you I'm not going to be here this day, and you schedule them anyways, we go outside a Café Anyway where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valleyton, Mont.
Anyway.
The last place on earth. And you continuously schedule them despite what they ask for.
Try to game me. No. Ain't gonna work.
Oh my God, man.
She just got it.
And it is just like, what is happening? You saw the email that you can't get much more opaque, obscure, vague with an email, cryptic. I mean, you can get cryptic in an email, but when somebody spells it out in very clear language, I am not going to be in this day, and you go, oh, I'm going to schedule them. I'm going to schedule them for this day anyway. Well, it shows you don't have much of a brain in that big head of yours. It's probably full of that styrofoam they use to pack stuff for Amazon. Speaking of which, people are buying a bunch of stuff.
The Pam Baumgartner Files.
Burgermaster.
Consumers are increasingly relying on credit cards to make ends meet. But their credit rating has not suffered. Even as credit card balances for Americans surpassed $1 trillion for the first time ever recently, the national average credit score hit a fresh high of 718. FICO scores range from 300 to 850. The average credit card utilization was 34%. So you should keep your debt below 30% of your available credit. Credit Karma is a good app for monitoring your credit score and showing how to improve it. That, according to Rob Black, I produce his podcast, The Rob Black Show. He talks about all kinds of helpful money stuff. And he's in the Bay Area. He is on the local radio AM 1220 KDOW weekday mornings from 6 to 9. And then he's also on the television, I think Monday through Thursday in the 9 o'clock hour. So I heard today somebody say on the radio. He leans conservative. I'm not talking about Rob Black here. I'm talking about someone else. They were discussing how McDonald's... so they don't live in California. They used to live in California, but they're big time. They bash California like crazy. This guy. And most conservative talk show hosts that don't live and work in California love bashing California. It was so funny when I would go visit my mom in Florida and all her conservative friends. They'd be like, oh my gosh, you live in California? Oh, it must be so terrible for you. Oh, you have that Nancy Pelosi. Oh, that Dianne Feinstein. Oh, so I feel so bad for you. And I'm like, yeah, I live where there are beaches everywhere and In-N-Out burgers and the sun is out and it's never humid and it's beautiful. I really hate my life.
Good morning, Mr. Matthews.
Okay, I don't like the traffic. I don't like the taxes, of course. I don't like the graffiti. I don't like this homeless people's problem we've got here is huge. That's not good either. But other than that, it's great. Prices for food is horrible. But hey, I was watching somebody on YouTube and they're eating at a restaurant somewhere in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Some Paula Deen restaurant or something. And they go, oh, look at this. Let's take a look at the menu. And they point the camera at the menu, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'm pathetic. I'm watching this. This is what I've been reduced to. Okay, 40 years ago, I was watching, what was that show? Remote TV? What was the one that, it was Colin Quinn's first show, and Adam Sandler it was one of his first shows. By the way, Adam Sandler and I, we were dead ringers for each other. I think I'm slightly older than him, but dang, we looked very much alike. I had the curly hair like he did, but we remote control, and it was on MTV. And sure, I wasted my brain watching that, but now this is what I've been reduced to. I'm watching ridiculous YouTube videos where somebody is just filming a menu in a Paula Deen restaurant in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. But I noticed the prices are basically the same in California. It's not that much cheaper. So, yes, gas is cheaper outside of California. But the point is, this conservative guy that does not live in California, and he loves to bash California and say gruesome Newsom and all that idiocy. Okay, I know, I didn't vote for Gavin this last election. I'm upset with him with a couple of things, including the leaf blower situation. I thought he promised to get rid of the leaf blowers, and he still hasn't, and they're horrible and disgusting, and they make a lot of noise. A lot of noise pollution, a lot of air pollution. They're awful. But come on. The guy is better than a lot of other governors. So, apparently now, McDonald's has raised their hourly salary for employees in California. And other states are looking at it going, what? California's paying that much? McDonald's is paying that much in California? How can they stay in business? Oh, that means they're going to raise prices on French fries and burgers. And this conservative talk show host is complaining about it. And I'm thinking, dude, and that's a very California term, dude, you shouldn't be even eating at McDonald's at your age anyway. If your heart is going to keep pumping blood for the next 10 years, I would definitely take that off of your list of eateries.
Let's do a podcast.
But he's like, well, McDonald's, well, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what now. McDonald's, that was a place when I was a kid. That's where you got your first job now. You got your first job when you got out of college. That's where you eat. You worked there, and you worked for pittance, and you were happy about that because that was your first job, and you were dumb, and you were entry level, and you made no money because you worked at the McDonald's. And then now they're making so much money now, it's absolutely ridiculous. The gruesome Newsom, the crazy California granola nuts, and their bean sprouts. Hippies. I'm going to go back and shovel the snow off of my front yard there. And then I'm going to go down to the Piggly Wiggly down there. Down. I'm Canadian, no? I don't know. Nova Scotia. Don't know where that accent was going, but I'm like, okay, listen. The kids that work at McDonald's today, first off, if they have a job at McDonald's, it's remarkable because everything's been computerized. They got all kinds of computers doing everything that they used to do. And now you've got to be kind of a specialist at McDonald's. You got to be a special. You got to know what you're doing. No kind of about it. You got to know what you're doing. And you got to be smart. And quite frankly, if there's some idiot that wants some McDonald's food, the people making the food should be slightly smarter and better skilled than they, so that they get the appropriate food that they need in order to clog their arteries. Well, more than 85% of Americans still visit McDonald's at least once a year. I have been able to avoid it thus far, but as soon as I go on a road trip, I know I'm going to stop at one. McDonald's reported earnings and revenue that beat expectations as price hikes offset falling traffic. Despite higher menu prices in some regions, executives said that the burger chain is still beating rivals across most of the biggest markets when it comes to consumers' perception of value and affordability. So McDonald's gained market share with middle and high-income consumers, signaling that those diners are trading down from more expensive options. And McDonald's prices in California will rise further as the minimum wage for fast food workers has risen now to $20 an hour. And I believe they've been paying that much at In-N-Out Burger for years. There's roughly one McDonald's restaurant per 24,000 people in the United States. Wow, there are lots of McDonald's. Oh, and there was another story earlier this year about how McDonald's, even though they don't have as many people coming in anymore, most people going through the drive-thru, they still are forced, if you are a franchise owner, to pay over $700,000 to renovate your McDonald's at least once every, now I don't remember how many years it was. But you're basically forced by the franchise to renovate your restaurant. And you've seen McDonald's restaurants, they're usually pretty big. And they've got all that extra space. So that is another thing that they could probably, I don't know if they rent the space, they could rent the space out, who knows. But that's fascinating. Okay, outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley, the last place on earth, and I hope you did have a great Halloween. My lovely lady friend and I enjoyed walking around and seeing all the crazy, so many inflatable costumes, huh? Inflatable costumes everywhere. People enjoying that, walking around. That's what you need. When you get up to your 80s and your bones are brittle, you need to be in one of those inflatable costumes. If you fall over, it's not going to do a dang thing. You'll just kind of bounce right back up. I love it. I'm going to be in a inflatable dinosaur costume as I am older. Look who's here. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing?
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player, tell you what.
What?
Wow, this mic does sound pretty good. I like it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not the one in Podcaster Valley. It's the one in Podcaster Valley, Mont. So it's on loan. But you do sound great, Disgruntled Fiddle Player. Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make delicious root beer. Have some right now.
This is so good. I'm going to pretend drink. Oh, that was delicious. Hey, next show.
Drink it right now. I'll cut you.
I mean, I did. Sort of. Kind of. Sort of. Kind of. Millennials and Gen Zers that do podcasts, which I listen to often. Please don't say kind of, sort of. Oh, this is even on NPR and Bloomberg and all those other talk-type radio formats. I hear, and probably on television, I don't watch as much news on television, but gosh, young people younger than I, saying kind of, sort of, all the time. You either believe what you're saying, and when you're asked a question, you say it boldly. You don't hedge it. You don't put kinda, sort of, maybe. I sort of, kind of. There's this show I like listening to, QAnon Anonymous. And they point out some interesting things about crazy conspiracy theorists. But good gosh, they say kinda, sort of, maybe, sort of, kinda, sort of. No. Stop. Next show, it'll be Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. And with more ways to reach me, see, I'm not using kind of, sort of. Like, don't say like either. Like, that's going to be tough.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Dude, it's a fun.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!